speak while everybody highlights. So yeah, this play is based on the story of Betty and Barney Hill, who was a real life couple, mixed race couple in the 1950s, who were the first story of alien abduction to hit the mainstream. They were the first ones to be like, we got abducted by aliens, and then it ended up
publicly,
and then it ended up in the mainstream. And I found it interesting because Barney, if you look at
and was he a lawyer also?
I don't know. I don't think he was a lawyer. That I specifically chose for the play. But he is the only well-known person of color to ever
report an abduction.
That's
a good point. I never even thought about it in that way before.
Everybody else is all white people.
Wow, that's true. If you think of all famous abduction cases, it's all white people. Yeah.
And so I've always been fascinated by the story. I've always wanted to write a play about it. And then, sadly, we had all of these police shootings. And the one that they all struck me, but the one that really struck me was Philando Castile, who was on his way home, and he told the cop, "I have a gun in my car. It is legal. All that shit." Told the truth. And then was reaching for his wallet, and the cop just lost his mind. So, what does it mean to have your journey home interrupted? The Hills were on their way home, and they saw a light in the sky, and then next thing they knew, it was 3 hours later. Philando was on his way home, saw police lights behind his car. Next thing you know, he was dead.
It's not metaphor context.
There you go.
Oh. So it explains the case. Okay. Yeah, I always wondered about that. Because they talk about it in the beginning, but they don't go into detail about what happened. So,
I'm finding this out.
Yeah. I wanted to get
the premise of this play.
Well, that's why, I didn't want to go into it. So, I think, without much further ado, I'll read stage directions. There we go. So, an abduction. Scene 1 before. I never use scene numbers. I just use scene titles. Just habit of mine. So before, December 10th, 6 p.m. It is dark outside. The room is filled with the flickering blue light of the TV, which is heard at a low rumble. Outside the front window, a saw-whet owl pipes away into the night, which if you've never heard a saw-whet owl, it's just like a beeping noise. It almost sounds like what people have described as UFO sound.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like an owl. It sounds like a chirp, like a solid routine chirp. Outside the front window.
It's not a whoo whoo.
No,
it's a beep beep beep. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, owls are interesting.
Outside the front window, a saw-whet owl pipes away into the night. This piping provides the rhythm of the scene. Beth enters from the hallway. She carries a bowl of popcorn and a glass of wine. She sits on the couch and watches the TV for a long while.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, I did that. Oh, thank God.
Enter Benjamin, wearing a tan suit under a winter jacket. He looks ragged and worn down from after a long day in court. As Ben enters, Beth stands and runs to hug him. They kiss.
I suppose you saw.
Been watching the news all night. Lots of junk. But babe, you did it.
I did it.
You nailed that motherfucker.
On a manslaughter charge. He'll be out before we know it.
Yeah, but he'll never work again. Not with that on his record.
You really think that's going to stop him from hiring him? There's some towns up in the valley that would just love to have him on the force.
You're not happy about this. Why won't you let yourself be happy about this?
A man is still dead. This didn't bring him back.
But you brought his killer to justice.
Barely. And what if they retaliate?
The police? They don't have the balls. Not independent.
It's probably nothing, but...
Hey, what's wrong?
There were these guys looking at me. As I was leaving the courthouse. Black suits. Very official looking. Like some government agency not happy about the verdict.
Now you sound like your father.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
On your way. I'm always right. You need to relax.
You are definitely right about that. But enough about my bullshit. How's everything at the school?
I'd rather not. I'd rather keep talking about suspicious white guys in suits. Feels less real.
I didn't say they were white.
But they were, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. School really that bad?
It's heartbreaking.
Still no word, Michaela?
No, it feels like they're not even looking. And another girl in Regina's class didn't show up today either.
That's Ben.
Oh, how many kids did that make this year?
5, all girls. And these administrators, they cross their arms and shake their heads and say, with families like this one, these kids have, like the ones these kids have, can we really be surprised? I almost smacked the superintendent across the face. She's black. She should know better. Instead, it feels like she's selling out our little girls to look better in front of her white colleagues. How am I supposed to teach these kids when the ones in charge don't care about them or their friends that are going missing? How am I supposed to make them feel like they matter?
Hey. You are an excellent teacher. You just keep doing what you're doing already. You just show up and be there for them. You don't give up. That will show them that they matter.
I suppose.
Sounds like I'm not the only one who needs to relax.
You got that right.
Well, speaking of, there's the DA's throwing a party to celebrate up in his cabin on Candlewood Lake. Officially, it's just a Christmas party. Unofficially, I'll be the guest of honor.
Babe, that's terrific. When is it happening?
Next Saturday.
I'll clear my schedule.
Big kiss, red spade, the saw-whet owl continues piping away. After. The following Saturday evening, Sunday morning, 3 a.m. The living room is dark and empty. Moonlight shines through the window, making the room a faint blue. Outside, the saw-whet owl continues to pipe away. Soon a car can be heard pulling up, its headlights shining through the windows. The car doors open and shut, and Beth and Ben enter, turning on the lights. The two are in shambles. Benjamin's expensive tailor suit is distressed, his tie hanging loose and his shirt somewhat undone. Beth's once exquisite red dress is torn at the ankles, stained with a strange silver powder of unknown origin. Ben immediately goes to the fireplace and pours himself whiskey from a tumbler that sits on the mantelpiece. Beth stumbles to her regular spot on the couch and sits and stares blankly. They remain in this tableau for an agonizing period of time. Every so often, one of them goes to speak, but by the time they open their mouths, the words disappear from their minds, or they decided it was better off left unsaid.
What happened to us tonight?
It's all funny. So it's just like it's like a pause.
Dramatic pause.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was a Beth before. Sorry.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, there was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, no. It's on the next one. You say that.
No. It's just
There was just no
it's just a
Yeah.
pause.
Okay.
It's a pause until
Okay.
he's gonna
Okay.
respond.
I know
and
what you mean.
finally and so finally you say Benjamin. Sorry.
So Sammy, there's a cold in this.
Oh, there we go.
See?
My
It's
bad.
confusing.
Benjamin,
What?
are you just gonna stay silent?
I don't want to talk about this.
I need to talk about it. I need to understand.
Ben moves towards the stairs.
Let's head up to bed and think about this in the morning.
He gags and grabs his mouth. He looks like he's choking back vomit. He swallows it back down.
I don't want to figure it out in the morning. I'm afraid to go to sleep.
You sound like a child.
Don't you patronize me. I'm not stupid. I can sense when I'm being messed with.
How am I messing with you?
Not you. Them.
Who's them?
We woke up on the side of the road, 45 minutes out of our way, with 3 hours missing from the clock. They are fucking with us.
Ooh, Beth.
The police.
You think the police did this?
You said you saw men in suits looking at you after the trial.
And you said I was being paranoid.
I said you were behaving like your father.
And he was one paranoid motherfucker.
He had every right to be. The way the government just dumped him like that?
So now you believe him all of a sudden?
I'm starting to. After what happened tonight.
What exactly happened tonight? What is it you remember?
I can't remember. That's what scares me. I feel like I was drugged. What if somebody at the party...
Nobody was drugged. Nobody. It was late. We were driving down 34. We nearly hit an owl or something. I swerved off the road and we ended up in a ditch.
If we were driving down 34, how did we end up in Farmington?
I took a wrong turn somewhere. I had thought we were on 34, but I must have made a mistake. Doesn't mean anything weird.
Benjamin gags. He almost collapses.
If nothing weird happened, then why are you so sick?
I just need to rest. We just need to sleep this off.
There wasn't a ditch.
What?
You didn't wake up in a ditch. So you didn't drive into one. I'll give you that you might have taken a wrong turn somewhere. You've been known to take wrong turns before.
Come on, Betty.
Do not. 1 minute we were driving down a road that you thought was 34. Then suddenly there was a bright light.
Bright light?
There was a bright light in the sky. It could have been a helicopter, but there wasn't any noise. And you pulled over. We thought it might have been a police car because the light was a bright blue. So you pulled over and then
I don't remember any of this. Betty, let's go to sleep.
do not call me Betty.
Elizabeth. Sorry. Please.
Maybe it wasn't in the surface. Maybe it was behind us. Maybe it was a police car with its flashing blue lights and a broken siren, and you pulled over and got out the car and you asked if we had any binoculars. I remember thinking, why in the world would we need binoculars? And that's it. We woke up. My dress is torn. It's 3 a.m. When I last looked at the clock, it was midnight.
Are you done? Can this please be done? Can we please go to bed?
He wraps his arms around her.
Okay. I have to pee first. Will you wait for me?
Fine. Of course.
Beth exits to the bathroom. The saw owl stops piping. Ben pours on a shot of whiskey. He goes to take a sip, but retches suddenly before the glass meets his lips. The retching turns to coughing. The TV erupts with violent static. The coughing fit will not subside. Benjamin tries to find the remote while coughing. He stops for a second to swallow whatever it is he's coughing up. He groans in pain. He goes to the TV to try and shut it off manually, but alas, no buttons. He begins searching the couch for the remote from offstage, barely audibly over the TV.
Ben
is looking for the remote. He does not hear her.
Benjamin!
Ben finds the TV remote between the couch cushions. He shuts the TV, leaving the echoing silence.
Benjamin, answer me!
Yes, honey?
I need you to get my pajamas.
Just run upstairs. Not like I've seen you naked before. Never seen you naked before.
No, I need you to get my pajamas now. There's something very wrong.
Benjamin winces again.
Okay.
Benjamin rushes upstairs and after a moment rushes back down and runs into the hallway to hand her her pajamas. He returns to the living room and after another moment, Beth re-enters the living room wearing gray sweatpants and a hoodie. She's cradling her dress like it's a dead body.
What's wrong?
She sets the dress down on the couch.
My underwear are missing.
Babe.
I went to pull them down. They just weren't there. I don't remember ever taking them. There's no reason I would have taken them off.
You're scaring me.
Oh, you're scared? Then I told you that something is very wrong and I am terrified. But you didn't listen. Before I thought something weird was happening. Now I know something very bad has happened. You've been on the verge of vomiting ever since we got home. Look at my dress. Look at where it's torn. There's something covering it. Silver powder. Maybe it's a drug of some kind. It's all over my hands now. But you wanted to go to bed. I need you to hear me. We need to call someone.
Outside there is the sound of footsteps in the snow. They look to the window.
Must be that owl.
Don't change the subject.
I remember an owl. Tonight. I remember the blue light vaguely, but I also remember an owl landing in the middle of the road. Or maybe it was on the hood. I could see its face peeking into the windshield.
I don't see how an owl is supposed to help.
Ben runs his hands down the dress.
I don't know what to do with this.
Ben stares at his hand. He falls into a trance. Outside there are footsteps in the snow. Her barn owl begins to cry out.
Pig?
Ben begins to vomit. A tar-like substance oozes from his mouth and down his shirt. He doesn't seem to snap out of it.
Ben! Oh my God!
She goes to shake him out of it. Ben falls to the ground in a coughing fit. Beth kneels down to comfort him. Ben continues to choke up the tar, leaving a black puddle on the ground. Finally, the coughing subsides. Beth helps Ben to his armchair. She runs out of the room, returns with a roll of paper towels, with which she begins to wipe down Ben's shirt and face.
All right, stop, babe. Babe, stop. I can do this myself.
I'm calling an ambulance.
Babe, please. Fine.
I'm not calling just for you.
I'm sorry. My head's a little hazy. You're right. We should call the police. What are we supposed to tell them?
That something happened to me, that we both blacked out, that you're vomiting bile or some shit that smells foul, that shouldn't be inside the human body in the first place. My underwear is missing. Something has been done to both of us.
Okay, let's call them.
1 hour later,
Give him a call.
a barn owl called outside. Beth is glancing intently out the window, where the outside lights have been turned on. Quietly and distantly, footsteps in the snow can be heard. Ben is asleep in the chair. He stirs and awakens. He sees Beth staring out the window.
They come yet?
No, something's wrong.
Did you call them back? Get an ETA?
Phones are down. I've been trying. 10 minutes after you fell asleep, the power went out for a bit, and then there was a light outside. So bright, I thought the sun was rising. Surprised it didn't wake you.
Something big must be going down. We should check CNN.
Ben turns the TV on. He is met with multicolored stripes and an eerie chord.
Oh,
That's what I said. Been like that since the power turned back on.
Ben turns off the TV.
so what are you looking for out there? Another light?
There's someone outside.
What do you mean?
Listen.
3 footsteps. Then the barn owl calls.
It's just an owl.
Not the owl. I hear the snow crunching. After the power came back, the outside light was triggered. And when I looked outside, I saw someone standing by the edge of the woods. I just saw their silhouette. Couldn't see their face. When I looked again just before you awoke, it was gone.
The outside light turns off.
Whatever it was, it's gone for good.
How are you feeling?
Better. Whatever was wrong with me, I got out of my system.
Ben looks out the mess on the floor.
I'll clean that up.
Ben exits to grab a towel, leaving Beth in the living room alone. The owls file silent. Outside, the light turns on. Several footsteps are heard, as if they were right outside the window. Beth reaches underneath the couch and pulls out a box which contains a gun. She takes out the gun and loads it. She runs to the front door and tears it open.
I know you're out there. I can hear you. Get off our property or I am calling the police. I am armed. Come any closer to this house and I'll shoot you in the face. I have very good aim.
Where on
Where
earth did you get a gun?
Walmart.
Wait, why?
The trial attracted a lot of attention to our house. We got letters, nasty ones, threatening ones.
Why didn't you tell me?
Didn't want you to worry. I can take care of myself.
Anyone out there?
I think I scared them off.
Then can you close the door and put the gun away? It's getting cold.
Suddenly there was a loud, monstrous, almost human scream, followed by a loud bang. Beth is startled and immediately closes the door, pressing her back against it, as if to prevent whatever is out there from barging in.
Babe, come away from the door.
She bolts the door and runs to Ben's arms.
What the fuck was that?
More slow, steady footsteps in the snow, accompanied by a metallic breathing, like something scraping the side of a metal barn, echoing immediately. The footsteps pick up the pace, seeming to circle the house at a lightning pace. The light outside begins to flicker. Then the footsteps become clambering up to the side of the house and then up onto the roof. Glass breaking upstairs indicates something has gotten to the house. Suddenly there's a rapping at the door. A couple backs away. A voice from outside yells,
Federal agent, open up.
The couple look at each other, unsure what to do.
There's an intruder in the house. You are in danger. Open up.
Beth goes to the door. A man in a black suit enters and rushes up the stairs. Several moments of silence pass before a gunshot rings out. They arrive. No time passes from the previous scene. Ben and Beth hold each other tight as footsteps slowly make their way down the stairs. Finally, we get a glimpse of Agent West. An unusually tall, wearing an ill-fitted suit, his hair slicked back and bleached blonde. He wears sunglasses even though it is night. He lands at the bottom of the stairs and assesses the couple whose home is just invaded.
You're welcome.
Excuse me?
I just saved your lives.
Who the hell are you?
A federal agent.
From which agency?
I'm not at liberty to say.
What the hell is a federal agent doing storming into our living room at 4 a.m?
I know you. Don't I know you from somewhere? I've seen your face on the television.
My husband asked you a question.
Like I said, I'm not at liberty to discuss.
I want to see your badge.
West smirks. He takes out a badge and holds it up to them.
My name is Alex West. All I can tell you is I'm out here investigating certain unusual aerial phenomena.
There's a knock at the door.
That'll be my partner. She can probably clear everything up.
West goes to answer the door. Enter Agent East, a white woman with blonde hair. She looks like she hasn't slept in weeks.
What did I tell you?
There was a hostile.
You were ordered not to engage.
I was going after potential witnesses. Look, can we not do this in front of civilians?
My apologies for my partner's intrusion. This is not how we wanted to come to contact. This is not how we wanted to make contact.
What the hell is going on here?
It's simple. Someone broke into your house. We happen to be in the neighborhood. I took the initiative to warn you fine folks and scare off the intruder.
Scared off? There were gunshots. Who the hell is breaking into a house at 4 a.m? What were you doing in the neighborhood?
You're Benjamin Hill, correct?
Yes.
I knew it. I knew you from somewhere.
You must be his wife, Elizabeth.
It's Beth. Who are you?
I'm Special Agent Diane East. I've seen you met my partner, Mr. West.
Your supervisor must have a sense of humor.
Yes, well, suffice to say these are just pseudonyms. Our work for the federal government is top secret. What I can tell you is the fact that we have been called out here means that your safety is at risk. There are hostile operatives in the area who do mean this country harm.
What do you mean, hostile operative?
Wish I could tell you. We don't even know ourselves. Could be Russians, North Koreans, ISIS, who knows?
But didn't you scare one of them off? How did you even get up there? What did they look like?
It was dark. He had a hood. I fired my gun. He leapt out of the window. I never saw his face.
But why here? Why our house? Why would the Russians want to invade Connecticut?
I wish I had answers for you. I really do. We were hoping that maybe you two could maybe enlighten us a bit. You in particular, Benjamin.
What is she talking about, Ben?
I don't know anything. We're the victims here.
No? Perhaps your father might. Why don't we call him up and ask him?
What does my father have to do with anything?
We know that he quit the Air Force and went off his rocker.
How about this? There must be a lot. There must be a lot you must be wondering about what's going on here tonight. You seem like a nice couple. I'm willing to release some classified information to you for your safety. We'll lay out a few cards on the table, but only if you're willing to do the same.
No one is laying out any cards. Is my husband under arrest? Has there been a crime committed? Because unless there has, I suggest you get the hell off our property and don't come back without a warrant. We did not give you permission to enter our home. So there are so many strikes against you right now.
Oh, sorry for the misunderstanding. You see, we don't need a warrant. For entering your home, we could always claim probable cause because there was an intruder inside. You witnessed that yourself. Besides, the organization that we work with is above the need for warrants, especially when the safety of our nation is at risk. Is at stake.
So what? You're DHS?
DHS wishes they had our level of authority.
So, like I said, cards on the table. Approximately 10 days ago, a light in the sky was seen along the Housatonic River by a teenage boy. It was reported to the authorities, and it became sort of a local phenomenon. It made the evening news, and that's how it first caught our attention. Now, if I had a nickel for every time someone sees something strange in the sky, when it's actually a very mundane situation like an airplane, satellite, or meteorite, then I would be a very rich woman. However, similar strange lights continued to be spotted along the shoreline for the next several days. They appeared with such frequency that a local police began to get nervous. Eventually, were ordered to make a move. This evening, at around 2000 hours, the activity reached a fever pitch. Not only were there 300 unique documented sightings across Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island, but there have been several hundred reports of trespassers, loiterers, and peeping Toms. People have been reporting tall, thin men in hoods standing outside their homes, staring in, standing just outside the light, at the edges of the forest and just beyond the reach of street lights. They say the men are staring, not moving, just looking into their homes until they move away from the window to call the police, and then suddenly they have disappeared. These are the kinds of reports that my partner and I were out investigating this evening when we witnessed something very peculiar. The peculiar craft we happened to be following stopped short above a narrow stretch of road deep in the woods up in Farmington.
Beth and Ben share a look. Each catches it and presses forward.
After the craft stopped, a beam of light shone down upon the abandoned Honda Civic, and what appeared to be two humanoid figures came floating down from the sky, landing right in the car, somehow phasing right through the roof of the vehicle. After a few minutes, the pair seemed to rise to consciousness and started the car and drove off. We followed it all the way down to Woodbridge, and here we find you.
What exactly are you implying?
I think she was pretty clear.
I've been reading up on you, Benjamin, about the trial, of course, but also things none of the newspapers would ever find out about you. Like when you were 10 years old. You were taken to a top secret hospital because you were sick with an illness no one had ever seen before. You still seem to be suffering from the symptoms by the looks of it.
You notice the twilight substance still left on the carpet.
I read that you told the doctors you were being visited that night by monsters from the sky.
How can you?
We have access to much more information than that, but I think I'll stop there. Now I think you owe us something in return. Your wife too, it seems.
He doesn't owe me anything.
I feel sorry for you, Elizabeth. I really do. For how little you know about your husband.
I know all I need to.
And now they've dug their claws into you too. I've always wondered what it's like for first-time abductees. What do you remember? What did they do to you? Were you restrained, or did they let you roam free? What sort of tests did they run? Do you have any marks on your body?
What gives you the right to ask me those sort of questions?
The United States government.
It's okay if you don't remember. We'll have ways to lift the fog.
I am not under arrest. I am not being disposed. I have rights. I have protection from non-consensual search and seizure without a warrant. You both need to leave, or I will call the police. The actual police. I don't believe you're with the U.S. government. I believe that you are both batshit crazy. The only invaders here are you.
Go ahead. Call the police. They didn't show up the first time you called them, did they?
Beth pulls out her phone and calls 911. She gets a fizzing signal. She urgently tries again. She gets the signal again. Wes starts to laugh. Beth pulls out her gun.
God damn it, I said get out of my damn house!
Wes continues to laugh. She points the gun directly at him.
What are you gonna do? Stand your ground? You don't scare me.
He takes out a small silver object and pushes a button on top. Suddenly the gun becomes extremely hot in Beth's hands, causing her to drop it.
Babe, are you okay?
What the hell is that?
That was nothing. We have the technology to do far worse. I'm hoping you two will be a little bit more cooperative from now on.
It is regrettable that my partner had to show such aggression. I'm afraid his background is a bit more militaristic than mine. I recommend you do as we say, so as to avoid triggering his more violent tendencies. So, where do we start? Benjamin, how about we start with you?
What happened to Ben?
What could I possibly tell you that you don't already know?
Don't tell me, tell your wife.
I don't need to know anything.
No, you do.
Start with the beginning. When did they first visit you? There must have been an inciting incident.
It's always been hazy.
Tell her anyways. Push through the haze.
Ben speaks directly to Beth and never takes his eyes off of her. She tries to avoid his gaze throughout.
It started with my father. He was always moving us from base to base, disappearing for weeks at a time. He never did discuss his work for the Air Force, only vague notions. He just packed us up and moved us around. When I was 10, we moved to Nevada. He told us he had been assigned to test a new aerospace technology. Said he was finally done with the disappearances. Were they missions, or were they stepping out? I never had a clear indication. I started seeing owls outside my windows almost every night. That's all it was at first. Then my father started getting sick. You know about me, but you don't know my father would come home in a daze. Rashes all over his body, raised lines on his back, and some spots on his arm like a heroin junkie or something. My mother raised all hell when she saw that. Said, "What are they doing to you? Treating you like some sort of lab animal? You are a human being. You are not a guinea pig." But he just brushed her off. Wouldn't listen to her. Just said, "It's something I gotta do." I started having nightmares of being strapped into a table and having people whose faces I couldn't see poke and prod me with sharp objects and strange instruments. I thought this was just a reaction to what my mother said to my father. That I was just imagining what it was like to be a lab rat, to be experimented on just like my dad. Then one night I woke from such a dream, vomiting, a substance I couldn't possibly have ingested. But I did remember a tube. When I was strapped down beneath those faceless people, I could feel them forcing something down my throat. I could feel its metal rivets pulling on my esophagus as they started to pump poison into my body beyond my control. I couldn't scream. I could only vomit. Get out of my system. As soon as I can, thinking it's a night, it is in the night. Damn, Eddie. As soon as
Let's put this in the outtakes. Every good reading needs outtakes.
As soon as I can, thinking this isn't a nightmare, I can just awaken from it. This is reality. Reality is black tar being pumped down my throat by some entity that thinks it'll be nothing more than a lab rat. I called for help and my mother came and she screamed, probably thinking, "I can't take any more of this shit in my life." Then she called my father, who seemed strangely calm about the fact that his son was covered in a fluid so dark, it made his skin look light by comparison. He called the base and explained the situation, that his son had gotten sick with a disease he'd never heard of before. "But do you trust him?" my mother asked. "Of course I trust him," he said. "I give my life to them every day." They looked at me and I ran all sorts of tests. And I asked all sorts of questions. And I felt like I was back in the nightmare again. Except they had faces for the first time. White faces. For all the poking and prodding they did, they couldn't seem to find the answer to what was happening to me. United States Air Force doctors were baffled by the substance that had been pumped down my throat. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know what it was and didn't know if I was contagious, so they locked me up all by myself and only came in contact with me wearing hazmat suits for the next 2 days. When they were wearing those suits, they looked like the things that did this to me in the first place. On the second night of quarantine, they found me. A bright light shone down through the hospital window, and the next thing I knew, I was once again strapped down, being poked and prodded and probed. I went missing for 4 days. The folks on that base thought I had to run away somehow. Next thing I knew, I was naked out in the cold desert outside the base. I followed the lights back to the guys at the gate. I followed the lights back, and the guys at the gate almost shot me, thinking I was some townie, high on drugs. When they asked where I'd been, I told them of the dreams I've been having and have been taken away by unknown entities, and how I was starting to think that maybe they weren't just dreams, because now things were affecting the real world. They told my parents that I had made the whole thing up, that somehow I had fabricated the unknown substance, that somehow I evaded the security personnel of the United States Air Force in order to maintain the validity of my own personal hope. They referred me to a psychologist that was both adamant that I had not been visited yet, was acutely interested in finding out what the visitors had wanted from me. I was almost convinced that the dreams were just dreams, except they kept happening. Sometimes they happened in broad daylight. And every so often, I couldn't keep the black tar down.
Has it happened since I met you? Has it happened since we've been married?
It happened to us on our wedding night. But you don't remember that, do you?
I am dead serious right now, Benjamin. Do not joke about this.
Have you ever known me to joke about these kind of things?
We went straight on our honeymoon. We booked a cabin up in the Green Mountains. That first night, I was restless while you slept like a babe. I remember most of that night. Nothing strange happened. There were no faceless entities.
But do you remember what kept you up that night? You said you heard an owl. And in the middle of the night, there was a bright blue light. Do you remember what happened after that?
I think that's when I fell asleep.
The owls came in through the window and flew us up to the sky. I woke up once again, strapped down to that table, and when I looked to my left, you were there strapped down next to me.
Stop it. Stop. That did not happen. You are lying to me, Benjamin Hill.
Why would I lie about this?
Either you're lying to me now or you've been lying to me this entire evening. No, you've been lying to me our entire marriage.
I didn't know what to tell you. I didn't know how to tell you. I figured if we just went to sleep, you forget. Just like you have every time before.
Every time before? How many times have we... No, I don't want to know. I was scared, Ben. When I came out of that bathroom, I thought I had been raped. And it turns out that I have been. Not by no damn police officer, but by something much worse. And now you're telling me you knew this entire time, and the only thing you could think of to comfort me was to tell me to go to sleep? Was to tell me to forget about the whole thing? Well, guess what, Benjamin? I haven't forgotten. There are inklings in my memory that won't just let me go. So now I have to remember. Or else I'm afraid I'll lose my whole damn mind. Just like your father. What was your name? Diana?
Yes, that's right.
You said you could help me remember what happened?
Yeah, it's possible.
I want to do it. I want to do it right now.
What happened to Beth? 30 minutes later, Beth is lying on the couch. As East has pulled up a seat next to her that is pacing nervously. West is drawing the curtains and guarding the door. East has a small gun-shaped device in her hand with wires emerging from the end, which leads to electrodes attached to Beth's temples.
Once I pull the trigger, we will enter a state of hypnosis in which your subconscious will be brought to the forefront, allowing access to memories that have otherwise been closed off to you. You may experience some discomfort, but no, it will not hurt.
I really don't think you should be doing this. I don't trust it.
I don't trust you right now. This is the only way to know what happened to us today. You can stay ignorant all you want. But I have to know. I'll lose my mind if I don't. Besides, if doing this will get these fuckers to leave, then let's get this over with.
These fuckers will leave once we've got what we've come for.
Which is
The truth.
We'll leave once we have what we need. In order to ensure the safety of this country, the settings have all been calibrated. Are you ready?
Yes. No. I don't know.
Beginning the procedure.
Beast pulls the trigger, and the whole stage goes dim except for the spot on Beth. She opens her eyes and begins to panic because she can't move.
Beth, can you hear me?
Yes. It's dark. Where am I? I can't see anything. What's going on?
I'm going to need you to calm down. Everything is going to be okay. Right now, you're in a blank slate. I want you to remember what happened tonight. What time did you leave the house?
Around 6.
Where are you going?
To a Christmas party.
Who was the ride there?
Quiet. We listened to music. Let It Snow came on. That was always our favorite. We started singing it. We were quiet the whole time. But when the song came on, we were singing and laughing.
Let's fast forward to the party. What did you have to drink?
Sprite. Ben had a root beer.
No alcohol?
Neither of us drank. His dad was a drunk, obviously, and so was my mother. Left a bad taste in both of our mouths.
Did anything strange happen at the party? Did anything stick out to you?
I definitely feel uneasy. I've always felt uneasy around lawyers. It's ironic that I married one. I don't quite know what to say to these people. There's an intern that seems to have the hots for my husband. She's drunk and she's trying to make moves.
Does this bother you?
No, he rebuffs her. I trust my husband. I trust him. He's a good man.
What time did you leave the party?
Pretty late, around 11:30. Everybody wanted to talk to Ben, get his thoughts on the trial.
What happened on your way home? Beth?
I don't want to do this anymore.
Beth, can you tell me what happened?
They're coming. Ben, you have to pull over.
Beth,
Don't give them any excuses, Ben. Pull over.
Beth, what do you see?
A big blue flashing light, almost like a police car. Ben doesn't want to stop. He thinks it's something else. I'm afraid. It all just seems too familiar. Finally, he pulls over and the lights stop, but it doesn't pull behind us, and there's no alarm sound. It hovers over us. Ben gets out of the car, asks for binoculars. He keeps them in the glove compartment.
At this point, what did you think it was?
I don't know, a helicopter? There was no sound of an engine. It was dead silent. All I could hear were the owls in the distance.
Did you get out of the car?
Yes,
What did you see?
just the blue light. It just kept flashing, and we just kept staring. And I felt like I do right now, sort of dreaming, like the blue light had captured my attention, like moth to flame, and wouldn't let go. And as it got closer, and it did grow closer, it slowly hovered down to the ground. I saw that there were actually 2 blue lights flashing like eyes, like 2 glowing eyes, and then they turned a bright, blinding light.
There's a screech of metal. Bright light shine on the audience for a moment before blacking out. The stage is visible. Beth is now lying on the gray slab. She starts to scream, and a gloved hand emerges from the darkness and covers her mouth. Several other gloved hands emerge from darkness and lightly pet her. She shakes her hand away from
Ben,
her head.
Ben, where are you? Stop touching me! Stop!
One hand pulls back the sleeves on her arm. Another pulls out a needle and injects her with an unknown substance.
No, take it out. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Another hand moves to her face, and the two pull her mouth open. A third brings down a large, strange device with a long tube attached. Beth screams. The screams are muffled as the tube gets forced down her throat. The hands hold her limbs down as she convulses. Finally, the hands begin to remove the tube away from her throat.
Let me go. Let me go. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
East's voice echoes in from the darkness.
Beth, it's Agent East. You are safe. You are under hypnosis. This is just a memory. It's not real.
The hands pull away into darkness. Beth sits up.
It feels real. I don't feel like myself anymore.
What do you see?
There was something there. It's gone now. Suddenly I'm free to move about the cabin, and somehow I know it's a cabin and some kind of aircraft. I'm above the earth. I'm behind the blue light.
The figure in a hooded robe approaches. It holds out a gloved hand.
One of them is here. It's reaching out its hand. It wants to communicate.
What does it look like?
I can't say. I can see it, but I can't say. I can picture it in my head, but the words won't form in my mouth.
Does it speak to you?
The figure beckons.
Yes,
What does it say?
Beth takes the figure's hand.
it wants to show me their purpose.
And what is their purpose?
Beth is pulled into the darkness. Only a bright light fills the stage.
Pain. It's the word that filled my head the moment I went with her. I know it's a her immediately. She says she wants to understand our pain. Why, she says. Why do you inflict so much pain on yourselves? Why do you choose to be in so much pain? What pain? I'm not pain. I don't feel any. She says they felt us. She says they felt us all the way from their distant star. They feel us. That's what they do. They feel the emotions and the sensations of every being in existence. They're one collective social nervous system, a planet of living empathy, 400 light years away, that listen to the screams of the universe. They've been listening to us. Ever since man took their first steps, they've heard us laugh, they've heard us sing, they've heard us cry, they felt our pain. And one day they said they heard us scream out loud, calling for help, the whole planet lashing and pillaging itself and calling out for help. A race of self-aware cannibals. They said we've been screaming for 400 years, and it was so loud that they had to put a stop to it. They couldn't hear themselves think. So they got on their ship and flew themselves out to the source of the screaming. And they found us out here still screaming. Our voices hoarse, weak, only barely able to cry out any longer. They don't understand us. How there can be 8 billion of us, all with individual minds, and we're all out here collectively screaming. They've been trying to find out how to numb the pain. They've been trying to find out how to heal us. But every person they try to help rejects them. I rejected them. Children rejected them. Oh my God, the missing children. They took the missing kids. That's why all those kids are going missing. Why didn't I remember?
Beth, calm down. I need you to tell me what they did to try and heal you.
They said Ben was the first person willing to listen. And he said I would finally come around. And I did this time. I don't remember how or why, but I listened. And they told me something big was coming. They finally found a way to end the pain. And they're going to use it.
What is it? What are they going to do to us?
Beth grabs her hand.
I can't remember.
Beth cries out. She crumbles to the ground.
It's right on the tip of my tongue, but they won't let me say. My head, I hear the screaming. It's so loud. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. Let me go. Please stop. I don't want to do this anymore. Stop. Stop.
Beth rips off the electrodes off her head and she falls unconscious, blocked out. The owls descend. Lights rise, Beth has collapsed on the ground, Ben is kneeling by her side. East and West are watching from the distance. The Silva owl is piping away with increased fervor. The barn owl chimes in occasionally. The barn owl counters the barn. The three combine to create a chaotic soundtrack.
What did you do to her?
She went too deep. Found a memory that's too blocked off. They must have implanted some sort of self-deconstruct protocol.
Is she going to wake up?
Probably not. It's likely she's fallen into a coma.
West.
I've seen too much worse to a person's mind. Just to keep them from telling their secrets.
Alex, stop. This isn't helping.
Her life's in God's hands now. Should die any second now. Or she could wake up. I guess you'll never know for sure.
Ben swings his fist at West, but West dodges.
Oh, there he is. That's the Benjamin Hill we saw in the courtroom. Wanted to make us think you're the quiet and peaceful type. But you're really just a dumb animal, just like the rest of us.
Ben grabs West by the shirt and he pins him against the wall. East pulls out her gun.
Let go of him, now!
What makes them think you're so much better than me, huh? What makes them want to pluck from your average fucking life and show you all their secrets? I deserve to know the truth too. I deserve it.
I don't give a fuck about any of that. I want you to fix my wife. I want you to bring her back. And I want all this shit, all of your shit to just leave us the hell alone.
I'm afraid there's not much we can do to help her.
Pray. Pray that your freaky alien friends are going to help you. Because they're the ones that got you into this mess.
East pulls out the device from earlier.
Let go of him, now!
East presses the button on the device, then releases West. He falls to his knees, writhing in pain. West neatens out his suit.
Don't worry, Ben. Someone will be here to clean up the mess we made. Someone will be here to take care of you both.
East and West to exit. The owls have risen to a cacophony. The sun begins to rise outside. Suddenly the owls fall silent.
Beth, please wake up. Baby, please, I need you. Somebody help. Somebody, please help us.
The great blue light fills the theater, accompanied by an apocalyptic horn. Ben looks up, baffled. Suddenly, dozens of robed figures storm the theater and descend through the audience before converging onto the stage in a circle around Beth and Ben. As the entities raise their hands, the sounds of the owls return and rise to a crescendo. The blue light grows brighter and blinding, then all comes crashing down into silence and darkness and the
All right.